What is the most ground-swallow-me-up, embarrassing moment that's ever happened to you? I ran into an old coworker at McDonald's. Our tenures had overlapped by about a month, and that was several years ago. He recognizes me and calls me over to his friends and tells them, "This is the nicest guy I have ever met." In the next 3 minutes, I call him by the wrong name and asked him how he liked a job he'd never worked at. It was pretty clear that I hardly remembered him. I was so embarrassed that I got my McDonald's to go and ate in my car. I'm midway through my burger when him and his friends walk up and get into the car directly facing mine. We made awkward eye contact while I had my food in my hand, and then they drove off. FML. Well, maybe he was mistaking you for another nice guy then. My favorite one was an account of an event on the work forums. A manager was working through a transaction with a couple. Whenever the man was asked a question, his wife would answer. He asked, "Does she ever let you speak for yourself?" The wife responded with, "No, not since his stroke." Okay, a bit of a twist for such a short story. It was my birthday, and we were sitting at the kitchen table. It was my 2 sisters, Dad, and Grandma. We were just passing out some cake, and my dad asked if anyone wanted whipped cream, and I said, "Rub whipped cream on me, Daddy." I've never once in my life called my dad Daddy. I'm not sure if it matters, but I'm a guy, and it was for my 23rd birthday. Crazy how much context can change with just a couple letters. I'd been seeing this guy for about 3 weeks or so, and he was staying with me for a couple days. It was early enough that I wasn't quite comfortable with bringing poop into the relationship, as if there's ever really a good time. And so when I started to feel some intestinal distress, I asked him to go to the shop down the street and pick up some wine to have with dinner. He was fine with it, went downstairs and gave me some blessed minutes to relieve myself. It was the crap for the ages. Periods will do that to you. So sending him away was definitely the right call. I went to clean myself up, and no toilet paper. None on the roll, none under the sink. The only place I knew I had some was in the back room, where I stole all the non-perishable stuff. Tins, kitchen rolls, bleach, that sort of thing. Well, at least I was alone. I waddle down the hallway, holding my cheeks apart as to not make a mess, and I'm about halfway to the back room before I hear a little voice from behind me. What are you doing?" Turns out he'd been to the shop in record time, got back without me noticing, and was on the couch watching me do the Kansas shuffle down the hallway. And I'd been presenting my crap-smeared butt to him like some kind of tub girl mating ritual. That was not how I had anticipated introducing butt stuff into our relationship. Well, see, that's the real crap test you have with your partner, because if you stay together after that, then you know it's going to go strong. I went to a dealership and test drove cars. Went to sign for a car, reached into pocket, hand went through pocket to skin, 6-inch rip into my favorite jeans, thought nobody had noticed butt cheek hanging out and felt relieved. Returned to the dealership for oil change 3 months later. The salesman says, "I see you got new pants." Geez, that sounds like a pretty bad rip. In a noisy room, someone was asking, "Are you okay?" Resting dead face overload. But because it was noisy, I thought they were asking, "Are you gay?" Being the straight person that I am, I said no. They asked why, and I explained. Are you okay?" No, I'm not. I like women. Happened in grade 9. I don't know why, but me and my friends would play this stupid game where we would try to sneak up on each other and slap the back of our heads as our way of saying hey. I spotted my buddy, Rise, at the end of the hall and snuck up the best I could and wound up a home run slapper. He noticed last second and ducked. I ended up slapping the crap out of my teacher's boob as she turned the corner. Screw you for making me remember this. Hey, maybe just don't assault people in public. Maybe wait till you get home for that kind of thing. A blind woman wanted to know where the front of the bank was, and I pointed and said it's over there. Well, if it makes you feel any better, she's probably not going to remember you. I was in a line in the cafeteria, and my female friend is leaning on the table holding her purse. Every time she opens it, I close it. I did it twice, then she suddenly faced me, and it was a total stranger. I went back to our classroom and didn't eat lunch. Well, hey, it could have been worse. Imagine if she was closing her purse and you just kept opening it. I was deathly afraid of public speaking in high school. When I had to give a speech in front of the class, my legs would shake and I would sweat profusely every time. We had to give oral book reports to the whole class in the senior English class. I'm sitting in my chair, legs crossed, sweating with anticipation, when the teacher calls my name. "All right, you're up." I let out a deep breath and go to stand up. I forget to uncross my legs, so I trip. But I don't just trip, I stumble. I try to regain my balance, but instead I pick up speed. I tumble for about 10 feet before I finally fall. I get up as the whole class stares at me. I slowly walk up to the front of the class and say, "Well, the speech can't get any worse now." That moment helped me overcome my fear of public speaking, though. Since then, I've given multiple speeches in front of large crowds with no problem. Hey, it all just takes practice. I mean, you go back and watch some of my early videos, and they are horrible to watch, at least compared to these ones. I do feel like I've gotten a little bit better on camera. I ordered an Uber with my new boss on a business trip yesterday. I began making small talk with the driver to show her how great I am at talking to people. The driver was talking with his girlfriend on a headset. Well, I'm sure it was a very nice, one-sided conversation. I said to my cousin's wife, "How's the children?" She said, "Oh, they're not here yet." Then it hit me. She just had a miscarriage not a week ago. I mistook her for another cousin's wife. I mean, I know how you feel. I've got about 40 cousins and a lot of them are getting married and I am mixing up a lot of their spouses now. It took me a long time to grow into myself. I was bookish. I wore sweater vests. I had one of those sun-colored change necklaces. I genuinely thought it might make me look cool, and hairsprayed my Ross Geller haircut. I was called helmet hair due to my overuse of hairspray. I had a crush on this one girl who was very popular, but she was nice to me a few times, so I kept up the dream. One day she has a note passed to me in class. Everyone saw it, and I hid it in my desk until I could get home and read it alone. I raced home and rushed into my room, then opened the note. In the note she said she wanted to ask me something but was too embarrassed, so I could come talk to her? My heart fluttered, and for about 12 hours I believed I was this close to having a girlfriend. At the school the next day, my friend told me it was probably a trap and to forget about it. But she was nice to me, so I persisted. I walked up to her and said we should talk. She mentioned that we should go talk in private, away from her friends and our classmates. But I insisted she just ask me. She says, "So I heard you really like NSYNC." I said, "Yeah, I love them. I just got the CD last weekend." Says, "So do you want to go see them with me?" I said, "I'd love to. I've been wanting to ask you out." She says, "Wait, you're not gay?" She wanted me to be her gay friend. I was not and am not gay. I just liked NSYNC. I mean, it is kind of strange that gay guys usually get more of a pass when it comes to being close with women. But hey, maybe if you just played it off, you could have let it there eventually. I used to wait tables. During a busy Sunday post-church lunch rush, I had to make a sundae for a table in the very back corner of the restaurant. I get to the table and the entire party starts laughing. I'm standing there holding the sundae, super confused. I look down and realize that I had somehow managed to get a large amount of whipped cream directly over my crotch while preparing the sundae. It was nowhere else on me, just my crotch. All I could do was put the sundae down, say, "Oh my gosh," and speed walk back through the entire restaurant to clean myself up. So, is it bad luck to make a sundae on a Sunday then? When I was younger, I was arguing with my dad and called him a fun sucker. Except I got my consonants mixed up and called him a son effer in front of my whole extended family. Yeah, I mean, fun sucker already sounds a bit vulgar on its own. I tried to stalk someone on Facebook and typing their name into a status bar instead of the search button. I was in a car with my friend at the time and we lost signal as I frantically tried to delete. Still makes me cringe. Man, I hate even typing somebody's name into the search bar because it like saves your history. And so anytime you click on the search bar again, it's like, oh, did you want to look at this person again? And it's just like always in your face. In high school, I was hanging out with a group of friends at lunch. One of our friends walked up wearing a suit and started talking to one of my other friends. A few moments later, he says, "Okay guys, I'm heading out now. I'll be back tomorrow." So I replied excitedly, "All right man, have fun." He gave me the weird scowl/look of betrayal I've ever seen. Somehow it slipped past my radar that his girlfriend had developed a super rare disease and died inside the time span of a week. All my friends were looking at me with the widest eyes as he walked away, and in a chorus everyone was like, "Dude." So like when you tell somebody, "Okay, have fun," you're just saying whatever you do with your day, I hope that it goes well. So, I mean, saying have fun even though your girlfriend just died doesn't necessarily mean that that's in bad taste. I was 13 and my family and I were on a skiing holiday. My parents had decided to sign me up for lessons so that my dad could get some good skiing in and my mom and sister could relax and drink hot chocolate. My sister had broken her wrist a few weeks prior to leaving and my mom isn't really a winter sports fan. I had been throwing myself down mountain slopes with about as much grace as a brick, with the tutor occasionally griping about said demeanor, and was exhausted. We had time for one more run, so we all waddled over to the T-bar machine. This imaginatively named device is so called because a metal bar, shaped like an upside-down T, hooks below your butt and drags you upwards, so you're not constantly climbing for 10 minutes and skiing back down in a few seconds. Somehow my jacket got caught on the bar, which knocked me to the ground. This is not the embarrassing part. It then dragged me along the snow, past where I was supposed to ski off, and carried on along a very icy patch towards the mountain where it would turn back. Still not the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part was when the rough ice dragging under me somehow managed to pull down my ski pants, thermals, and underwear, exposing my bare butt to an entire slope of people, and giving me a nasty ice and friction burn all down my thigh. Also, I was yelling my head off to get someone to stop the machine. A lot of people saw. I was helped up and off the ice, and skied down to the bigger lift to take me down to the hotel. I cried the entire way down. The real kicker was getting back, telling my family this story, while still sobbing through wounded butt and wounded pride, and having my dad and sister howl with laughter while my mom desperately tried to comfort me. Yeah, those pole ropes on ski resorts can be kinda tricky even just to hold on to. And the first day of skiing for anybody is pretty painful, almost guaranteed, no matter what happens. When I was a teenager, I was a volunteer at a triathlon, and my job was to write athlete's number on both legs and both arms with a Sharpie. So here comes a man, I marked one leg, then the other one, then I do his first arm, and I ask him to turn around the other one. He said, and it was true, I only have one arm. I'm really not observant. I'm sure there are plenty of NPC type people out there that just get completely confused like, oh, what do I do now? He doesn't have an extra arm. I once asked a woman in an elevator when she was expecting. Expecting what? She said. Stood frozen and silent until I got off. Yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest touchy subjects where it's like, if they are pregnant, it makes total sense and it's very nice to ask, but if they're not pregnant, then it's completely insulting. So I had a crush on a girl back in 10th grade. We pretty much flirted with each other, and she told me via MSN that she would like a hug when she came back to school. She was sick for like 2 weeks straight. So when the day came, I hugged her. It was super awkward. I hugged her for like a minute straight, and she calmly asked if I would let go of her. That minute felt like an eternity, and felt really embarrassing. After like 11 years, it still makes me cringe when I think about it. Well, wasn't that fun, getting to laugh at other people's expense? Luckily for me, my long-term memory has gotten really bad, so a lot of my embarrassing memories I just don't really even have in my brain anymore. So maybe it's not such a bad thing. But if you really like watching people get embarrassed, then just go watch Impractical Jokers. It's pretty much one of the best shows ever made.